I've been putting off doing this video because we did not know the facts. Shad Gaspard had not been pronounced dead until this morning on May 20th, but it is assumed he passed away on the 17th of May when the incident happened. So, Shad Gaspard, he was born on January 13th, 1981. We do not know exactly when he died, but I assume it's the 17th. He was certainly best known for his time in the WWE with Cryme Tyme, with his tag team partner JTG. They were a very entertaining act. They were very popular. When they came up, they had an incident, I believe, where they were released in late 2006, but then they would, late 2007, but they would come back the night after WrestleMania 24 on March 31st. They were very entertaining. They were a fun tag team. They were someone who, at first, they would say they were comedy, but they were pushed as a top stars, in the tag team division pretty quickly. They were easily one of the more over tag teams, if not the most at that time. In 2008, they formed a faction with John Cena. They became Cryme Tyme C Nation. That's when they were really good at first when the company was not PG yet. They would get away with a lot more stuff. There's even a very entertaining segment I really loved with Cryme Tyme and DX, Triple H and Shawn Michaels. You can watch it on YouTube. What happened there was it was like Shawn Michaels, Triple H was afraid of Cryme Tyme. He was afraid of two black guys. And Sean was the one talking to him. It was actually really, really, it was really entertaining for its time. But I think once the company became more PG, they had to do more family-friendly jokes. They became more loving, more face. Even they were controversial. And Lita's last match, they brought out her panties and stuff. So they were a very they fit better, I thought, for the early duration of their run in 2006 and 2007. Once the company went PG in 2008, they became more a comedy act, but they were still over. In 2009, they kind of got a push. They got the tag team match against, I think it was Jericho and the Big Show at SummerSlam. They should have won that match. They were more over than Jericho, but WWE was insistent on pushing them. I really thought Cryme Tyme should have won that match. After that match, they kind of went down their own ways. They were pushed down the card a bit. They were, in 2010, I believe, is when, on April 2nd, 2010, after they lost to John Morrison, R-Truth, Shad Gaspard turned heel. He attacks JTG, and they would split them up. This would be a mistake WWE has continued. Whenever there's a tag team, they have a bigger guy, they would push him. As a single star, it just didn't work after this. I don't know, they did not do well with Shad. They did not push him well as a single star. And the big mistake was after JTG was attacked by Shad, they were going to push Shad. What they did was they had him and JTG have a strap match at a pay-per-view. I think it was Extreme Rules, and JTG wins. I'm thinking to myself, why? I thought they were going to really push Shad. It was a shock when they had JTG win. And, of course, JTG would become a running joke. He would be employed for, the next 4 years, and he would appear, 4 times on TV. And it was a running joke. It was Shad. In 2010, on November 19th, he was released. And that was a bit of a surprise. They were releasing people a lot more frequently then, but that was when they released him. I was like, I thought they were going to really push Shad. Then he would go to the independent circuit for the next 8 years. He wasn't doing too much with wrestling. He would do stuff. He reunited with JTG once JTG was released in 2014. They had a reunion in 2016. But Shad, he had a huge ambition for Hollywood. He really wanted to make it big, and not necessarily just as an actor, but Shad really wanted to make it as a writer. He had a lot of scripts, and his wife, Selena, I believe, she has his scripts that he's written, and this is what his dream. He wanted to make it really big in Hollywood, and if we get into his personal life, he married a fitness model, Selena Gaspard. She took his name obviously, but Selena's his wife, and they married. After they were married, they had their first child, who was a boy, in April 2010. and this would be the son he would save. I also want to bring up on December 11, 2016, Gaspard prevented the armed robbery of a Colorado Springs, Florida gas station, where he was approached by an intoxicated man who was intent on robbing the clerk. Gaspard shoved the man and took his gun away and restrained him until police arrived. That shows you the kind of person he is. He put his life in danger. He could have easily died. He could have easily been shot. That could have been the end of his life there, but he saved people there. He told a story on TMZ Sports. It was a strange story. I think the guy was yelling at him, buy me a beer," because he knew Shad might have had money. And Shad's like, "No, ask me differently. I'll buy you a drink. Ask me differently." And then at least of a confrontation, he pulls a gun and Shad's able to retrieve him. It just shows you the type of man he was. And how he died is he died a hero. He died as a father who protected his son. That's how he'll be known as. I think even more so than his career, people will remember him as a hero. He saved his life over his own. So May 17, 2020, Shad Gaspard, his son, his wife go to the beach, and Gaspard and his Shad and his son go into the water, and they really probably shouldn't have. The beach is open now, I guess, in despite of the coronavirus. And California is pretty. One of the states late to open, so I'm a bit surprised that they got into the beach. But they had the beach in they were there in Venice Beach, in the ocean, and his son and him weren't into the water, and they were among a group of swimmers caught in a really strong rip current at Marina del Rey Beach in Venice. And what happened was, both of Shad and the son were in trouble. There was people sinking. There was chaos. Luckily, the lifeguards came, and once the lifeguards came, Shad, what he did was he ordered them to save his son. They got hit by a rip current. They were in trouble. There was a strong rip current. They could have all died without lifeguards, but Shad told them, "Save my son." They take his 10-year-old son. His 10-year-old son is rescued. Sadly, after they're going to come back for Shad, what happens is there was a second strong rip current, and this pulls Shad underwater. He gets pulled down, and they search for him 70 square nautical miles. The U.S. Coastal Guard was looking for him. They were trying to find him. They were probably going underwater. I'm sure they had scuba people. They were doing everything to try to find this guy. And the Coastal Guard suspended its efforts to locate him after, I think it was 2 days later. I think this happened on Sunday, and I think they searched for him Monday. I think they would search for him again on Tuesday morning. But they would eventually suspend it, and this was a point where he has no chance. Look, he's 6'7", 240. Sure, he's a strong guy, but they're talking about being stuck in the middle of the ocean here. What happened is he likely, from what I've heard, that the water was really, I think, was 65 degrees. He likely would have been numb, and there's like 0% chance anyone could survive. And so I don't think I've ever heard this. I mean, you always hear stories of bodies being washed ashore, which is just heartbreaking. It's such a sad thing to happen. I've seen, been at the beach. I've never seen that. I've seen dead fish washed ashore. I've never seen a body, but I'm just so scared. So eventually, they knew it usually takes 3 days. If someone drowns, it takes about 3 days for the body to be washed ashore. It's not a situation where they sink into the middle of the ocean. They can never find them, but it's usually a few days before we get the body back. May 20th this morning, his body was found washed up in Venice Beach, California, 3 days after he had gone missing, and he was identified by the Los Angeles County Coroner's Office. So it is official now. He's gone. It's a horrible tragedy. My deepest condolences go to his wife Selena and his 10-year-old son, who I'm sure is going to be traumatized by this for the rest of his life. My heart goes out to them. I feel just awful. A young family. They were only married 10 years. A 10-year-old son. This is just a nightmare. It's just horrible. My deepest condolences again go to his family, his friends, and rest in peace, Shad Gaspard. We lost a hero.